Welcome to Won't You Be My Gamer. Today we are joined by Mary, who is a professional sword fighter, the owner of Swordplay LA here in Burbank, California. And we're going to be building Lego swords today, and then also learning how the heck does somebody become a professional sword fighter and then make a career out of it, like Mary has. Thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
And Nicole, we are playing a classic.
We are playing The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. And we're going to be going through a lot of swords, staffs, spears, and they're all going to break, and we're going to have fun doing it.
Remember how in like the first Zelda you get your little like wooden sword or whatever?
Kokiri.
Yeah.
Little Kokiri sword.
Kokiri. And now look at us.
Look at us.
All the weapons in Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, here, let me run
thought?
from these guys so I can show you my weapons real quick. Oh,
Right.
well, maybe I'll defeat these guys, then I'll show you guys my weapons.
Show and tell.
Okay, so here's what we got.
Right.
Master Sword,
Uh-huh. Classic.
Yeah, classic.
Ancient Battle Axe, plus
Love
plus.
Yeah.
Great Thunder Blade. We got a Triton.
Yeah.
We got a
Always
Flame
need
Blade.
Always need a Triton.
Yeah. Frost Blade. A lot of things grounded in reality.
I don't know
Yep.
how I feel about picking up enemies' weapons. You know?
Yeah.
It's kind of mean.
It just feels against Link's code.
Feels low.
Feels low.
Feels low.
Yeah. So then you get into like the link of it all, and it's like, which link is this?
Yeah.
Because like there's a bunch of
So
them.
many
Right, then it
timelines.
gets
Yeah, timelines.
Yeah. Speaking of timelines,
Yeah.
Mary, how did you get your start in sword fighting?
What's your origin story?
Yeah.
My
Who crossed you?
Right. Yeah. Hook was my film that I
Yes.
watched really early on, and Peter Pan, Captain Hook. That was just something that I was like so obsessed with as a child. And then my parents were like, "We don't know what to do with that, but maybe let's go try fencing. Maybe you're gonna like that."
Question for you.
Yeah.
Does the giant crocodile swallow Captain Hook at the end of Hook?
I think so. I think that's the implication, is that
Okay.
it's, yeah.
But maybe like he didn't die. He took it back to his like hut that he lives in, and like they enemies to lovers. They worked it out. They're best friends.
They're
now.
best friends.
We
Yep.
don't know, so like why not
Maybe.
believe that?
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
No, that's a great, yeah.
That's how I feel.
That's how it could have ended,
Yeah.
I think. I think there's a timeline where that exists, 100%.
Yeah.
But so yeah, how did your parents facilitate this at 7 years old?
I did sport fencing first, so that's what my background is in. I fenced from the time I was 7, and then I fenced all through high school and in college, and I fenced competitively, so regionally, nationally, and I went to college on a Division I scholarship.
Wow.
And fenced at Northwestern. So that was what really kind of created a good foundation for me.
Whoa. So like, what did that time commitment look like in your early years doing it?
It was a lot, 8 to 12 hours a week, depending on the time of the season. But I was training all the time. I had tournaments on the weekends. I was also traveling. So there was a pretty big demand, also just because of how I was ranked as well, to maintain my ranking, and so it was a lot. It was a lot. And the fencing competitive season basically runs almost all year. There's a little bit of a break in the summer, but it runs seasonally, like majority of the year.
And for competitive fencing, are you, especially at younger ages, are you put in brackets dependent on like age or weight class?
You could fence within your age bracket, but then they also had these like open tournaments where it was like any age, any size, any gender. Everyone was just like thrown into one group. So I was competing in my age group and then also doing these open tournaments, which don't exist now as much. But it was like, when I was 10 or 11, I was going out to some of these open tournaments and fencing like full-grown adult men, like at a small,
Oh
it
my
was crazy.
gosh. Psychologically, was that a lot for you at a young age to deal with, looking back?
Yes and no. Fencing is such a mental sport that it really kind of developed a sense of like mental toughness. Early on, I feel like I was able to manage stress fairly well, honestly. So it created a very much like a tactical strategy kind of brain that I just have kind of maintained throughout the rest of my life.
I think if
honestly.
I was really young like that and I had to rewire my brain chemistry to not panic when a grown man with a sword is coming running at
Right,
me. It would,
right.
It would do something
Right,
there. It would
right.
change my confidence levels at least.
Oh, I didn't know this was a human. I thought
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
Did you just try
Oh.
to ambush? Yeah.
No, it sounds like they're gonna fight me.
They're gonna fight you, right? As
Could you coach Nicole in this fight? I know she's got, what sword is that?
I have a royal
like a-
claymore, so it's
yeah,
Okay.
that takes a lot of.
I think
Yeah,
they're
swing that thing around, make
Already-
space. Oh yeah, already
coaching
done.
necessary.
Easy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Didn't know I was that talented.
You're real OP in this. Speaking, I mean, Nicole's having fun there, but I thought we could have some fun designing a sword of our
Yes,
own.
absolutely.
With these Lego pieces. Can people design their own swords?
You can actually. You
So
can.
what do
yeah.
you start with usually? Like, how would we start with this?
Okay, so I think we want to probably start with what kind of sword we want to make. I'm going to assume, just based on what we have here, I think a long sword is probably going to make the most sense. But we probably want to start with like the hilt, and then just kind of work our way through it,
Okay.
through the blade.
And what's
Do something like-
characteristic of a good hilt?
Yeah, I mean something that you have a good grip on the weapon. Something that's gonna, if we're making a long sword, we can fit both hands on the sword. That's always a good start. We don't want to make a super heavy sword and then not be able to hold it.
Because that's something I think about. Because like, I couldn't play the bass guitar because my hands were so small. It couldn't go around like the neck of the guitar. Like, when you're making or you choosing a sword, do you need to have your own physical limitations in mind? Because I have a few physical limitations.
Yeah, like long swords are going to be a little bit heavier. So usually folks that might be like on, a little bit shorter might not fence long sword, just because if you're fighting someone that's taller than you, you're going to be at a bit of a like disadvantage. So I see a lot of like smaller folks sometimes fencing like small sword, but they'll do really well there because it's like a small target area. And if you're just hitting with the point, like you could be at a huge advantage.
I just got a wooden mop as a weapon.
Yeah.
I think we've established that brooms are good, but like
Yeah.
what about mops?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mops are good.
You do a lot of sword choreography and training for films and TV, right?
I do. Yeah.
What is that process like?
I work mostly in the pre-production space, but I also do fight choreography as well. So a production will reach out to me with a project or what a specific goal in mind of someone they're trying to train in a particular weapon. I'll get a timeline that has to be done. Also, I'll see how much training we actually have to do. Like, is it a very complicated scene? Is it a weapon that they're going to be using throughout the course of the whole project? Or do they need my help for historical consultation, stuff like that? So that'll come up sometimes where it's like, what would be the best kind of sword for this character to use?
Okay.
Or how can you make a recommendation here? Or I'll step in if it's like they put together, they structure the fight choreography, and then they're like, can we make this a little bit more historically sound now? So I'll step in and like make adjustments based on like, to just add a
cool.
little bit of realism there.
Can you think of any examples? You don't have to name names or name shows, but like where, oh, you did step in and say, oh yeah, you might want to consider changing X, Y, or Z to make it more accurate.
So I worked on Old Guard 2, which
cool.
was on Netflix.
There's Charlize Theron?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I worked with her specifically.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is she like ethereal in real life?
She's amazing. Yeah, she's amazing. She was fantastic to work with. And what was really interesting about that film was that it was based on a comic book series, and the characters are, they have basically lived through all these different time periods, because they can't die. So her particular character has all these different fighting styles. So I worked specifically on the opening scene from that film where she's doing some rapier sword fighting, and I trained her and worked with the stunt team as well to add a little bit of historical context to it, but also make it interesting and cool.
How do you feel Charlize's sword fighting compared to what you saw from Nicole and me?
Yeah. I imagine they're pretty similar.
Yeah, you guys did great.
Great.
I think we're gonna
Great, glad to hear it.
Old Guard 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Older guard.
Yeah.
Some of these Lego pieces, I've never seen some of these in my life. What is some of this?
No, we're making it work.
At least does feel very like back in my day.
Yeah, I am back in my dang this Lego. Okay, kids, have some imagination. What is this?
That's, yeah.
No. Oh, you're wrecking them, Nicole.
I really am. These little mob goblins, goblin guys.
Mob goblins.
One thing this game does really great is you really feel the weight of the weapons, the way that they did
Yeah.
the physics swinging them.
Because like I have a two-handed
Yeah.
sword right now, and I'm they're powerful blows, but it takes me a second to like wind
Yeah.
up my arms.
That slow, deliberate
Yeah.
swing. Can we pick the Master Sword up or something and see the difference?
Okay, so I have the Master Sword, so I'll let you know when
Okay.
I find some new guys to fight.
Right.
I destroyed everyone here.
You've talked a lot about HEMA.
Yeah.
What is HEMA?
HEMA is historical European martial arts, a study of European swordsmanship in the modern context. A lot of Eastern martial arts have a lineage and as far as how they're passing down the technique and the tradition, and the European arts didn't really have that. They made manuscripts, there were fencing masters, it was maybe kind of passed down, but not in a sense that was really solidified like other martial arts that exist, you know? So people recently have basically started like looking at these manuscripts and saying, okay, how do we teach this?
Can anybody become a member of HEMA?
Yeah, I think anyone who wants to sword fight, what I hear frequently is, I play Dungeons and Dragons, how can I learn to swing a sword or something of sorts, which I think is cool.
How did you get to the point where you decided to open your own sword fighting studio?
Swordplay has been a established business for a long time. So funny enough, that's actually where I had first started fencing when I was a kid. And then I moved to a different club later on when I was competing a little bit more actively. And then I moved back after college. I came back to LA. The previous owner actually reached out to me to start teaching there. So I started teaching fencing, and I had also started learning different kinds of swords at that time. And then about 6 years ago, he transitioned, asked if I wanted to kind of take over the business. So from that point, I just, I hopped in basically with no business background. My major was in film and television, and hopped in.
My sword broke. Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry, go on.
I hopped in and started to kind of reimagine the business a bit, and it was kind of a combination of different passions, really.
Were you like stoked as a kid when in The Parent Trap, Lindsay Lohan started fencing?
Oh, absolutely.
That was huge for me. I thought that was so cool.
No, that was for sure a huge moment. And fun fact, that girl who stunt doubled Lindsay Lohan, she trained at Swordplay.
Oh, wow.
Actually,
really?
yeah, she was a student at Swordplay.
amazing.
Yeah,
Cool. Yeah. Do students get recruited from your studio for different projects?
Sometimes depends on the project and depends on what we're working on, especially for fencing stuff. If it's on camera fencing.
Do you yourself still do any like on camera, like, oh, Mary, we need somebody for this sword fighting scene?
If it's the right fit, yes, I do.
Is it a bad sign that my sword keeps breaking? Is that a knock against its structural integrity?
No, it's
I think I went for style over substance a little bit. Now
That's
I'm paying
fair.
for it. Oh, speaking of style, wow,
So I just got
Shadowfax,
my
what?
horse. I wish it was Shadowfax. This one's name is Horsey. I played this game a long time ago, and like 2017 me wasn't as creative as now,
That's fair.
because I would have gone harder than Horsey, but here we
Right.
are.
The whole thing of like, we see in Game of Thrones, the Lord of Light he's got the flaming sword. Can you do cool stuff like that with swords where you like,
Put, like,
set them
fire
on
on
fire?
Yeah, you go to any Ren fair. Most
Oh, yeah,
people
yeah,
there
yeah.
are lighting swords on fire, swinging around, and that's like kind of its own fun space as well.
Are you a Renfire person?
I am 100% a Ren fair.
All right.
I go
Right.
every year.
Yep. Same.
Okay, well, I hope I see you there this year.
Here's what I got.
Oh, that looks awesome.
Now, these flames,
Does it? I don't know.
Ice
It looks a little bit like an airplane,
Yours
but
is
it's cool.
so cool with like the ice spear.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
And
is,
then mine's got buck teeth and like googly eyes and an antenna because it's like a ham radio.
Okay,
right,
okay.
of course.
And it's got wings for aerodynamicity.
See, both we made airplanes.
Yes, we did.
Is
yeah.
what we made actually.
Wow. Nicole, if you had to pick one of these swords,
To fight
well,
with,
or to be your best friend,
right?
Oh, okay, to
Like
fight
Swordy.
with, this
Swordy
one.
over here.
To be best friends with, it's Swordy.
oh, thank
That's
you,
fair.
Nicole.
Yeah.
Sortie.
I'll defend you to the
Mercy.
end.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
the end is now. Sorry.
Oh, that's a cool blade.
Yeah, this is like I think this is one of the axes. This is a battle axe.
Oh yeah, the ancient battle axe.
So is a battle axe a real thing, or is that like
Oh yeah, for
Really?
sure. Yeah.
battle axe? That just
Yeah.
seems like so heavy.
I mean, that one's glowing.
Yeah.
So I don't.
No, the
Not
realism,
too. Yeah. The realism. It's right. Questionable.
Do you ever just get together and try to let's choreograph a cool match? You know.
Oh yeah, all
Yeah.
the time. Yeah, that's definitely like as far as just keeping that skill set fine tuned. It's a lot of like workshopping and just trying things and creating stuff and making content, and that's a big piece of it.
The Olympics are coming to LA
Yes, they are.
soon. Will you be going to the events to watch?
I put my name in the lottery, probably
Yeah.
like everyone else
Yeah.
in
Yep.
here.
We did.
If anyone gets that email, let me know. If I get it, I'll bring someone. There's a parafencing center that does wheelchair fencing. Right now, it's basically they're just kind of using swordplay as a space to do some lessons, but they also do a regular Sunday training at the recreational center in Burbank here.
Cool.
Actually, yeah,
Wow.
and that's cool. And I mentioned that just because I would also be equally excited to go see the parafencing
Yeah.
events. So I put my name in for that one too.
Do you know a lot of people across those communities? I imagine you do. But swordplay, and then
Absolutely.
with your history and everything.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people who participate in the sport for so many years, like they will continue to be involved in some capacity. So a lot of girls that I fenced with when I was a kid are, you know, some of them are either still competing now, some of them are coaches, some of them are, you know, just participating on a recreational level. It's it's cool. It's cool to see.
What kind of advice do you have for anyone of any age who might be looking to get into some kind of sword training?
Depending on where you're at, find your local club nearest to you. Most clubs will do a trial of sorts. Go in, pick the weapon that I think speaks to you, and I think that's the best place to start. You don't have to feel like you need to compete or anything like that. I think just going in with the mindset to learn
hit you?
is a great place to start.
Yeah, I feel, and I'm sure Nicole can speak to this too, like going and training with you for the short amount of time that we did, you go from 0 to 11 in terms of like confidence very, very quickly,
Yeah.
where you feel, oh, this is, there's something to this. Like I understand why people do it and why people get a feeling of reward from it, right?
Absolutely, and I also had like immediate understanding of like, oh, when I watch TV or video games or movies since that lesson, oh, they're attacking this way. Oh, they're attacking up this way. Whereas like I never would have thought about that before, and like just from that one class, I have this like new perspective on the sword fights I'm seeing. So that was really
great.
cool. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. And that's something, that I'll continue to do is get people involved in it right away. And I think that's probably one of my biggest critiques of a lot of schools. So if you're a club owner and if you're watching this, get people involved quicker and sooner rather than later.
Nicole, you are wrecking people. Is that your
Yeah.
What kind of sword is that?
Right now I've got a soldier's
Soldier's
broadsword,
broadsword.
something
Okay.
really basic, but I just picked up this thing, a what?
Demon carver? Ooh.
It's like a
Use that.
sickle type
Yeah,
thing.
it's like a
a-
scythe almost, but,
Yeah.
but
But a
completely
full circle?
round?
Yeah, I mean, I just
rounded?
defeated this guy, so now I'm just cutting grass. But look at the grass just be cut.
Gosh.
So-
Right.
Not a
That's-
blade
well.
left.
I've never seen grass
Yeah.
cut just
So
like that.
smooth.
That's amazing. Yeah. So smooth.
Thank you so much, Mary, for coming by.
Absolutely.
You made a really cool sword.
Yeah, or airplane. I
Or-
don't know.
yeah.
It's giving locomotive a little bit, but that's okay.
How can people get more information about Swordplay LA and check it out?
Yes, go to www.splafencing.com. free trial, free class available to anyone who wants to try it for youth or adult students. And we'll give you a sword on day one.
We can confirm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Multiple.
Yeah,
we had
exactly.
variety.
Yeah.
Yeah, tried to
Yeah.
leave with them. We're stopped.
Yeah, right.
Politely.
Politely.
Yeah. Nicole, how can people continue supporting us, which we so appreciate that you've been doing?
So appreciate. You can head to pbssocal.org/gamer and make a donation. Any amount is so helpful, and we really appreciate everyone who has donated.
We have cool t-shirts that you can get
Cool
right
t-shirts.
behind here.
I wear mine all the
yes.
time.
And you can also now support us through Patreon. So thank you so much to everyone who signed up there. Oh yeah, you're really doing some damage there to that grass,
Yeah,
huh?
The demon.
deforesting. Watch out.
Yeah. Right.